right, let's dive into this whole Super Bowl 59 thing. It was more than just a game, right? It was like a cultural moment.
It really was. Like, you had politics, music, legal stuff.
Yeah.
It was everything.
And all the big names were there. You had Trump, Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar, even Serena Williams popped up. We're going deep, pulling from game reports, political analysis, even pop culture takes.
It's wild how this one event becomes a stage for so many different stories. American politics, celebrities in a divided world, even how the NFL itself is handling social issues. It's all right there.
Yeah, like the game was just the background. And speaking of background, that Trump entrance, first sitting president at the Super Bowl ever. You know that had to be a calculated move, right?
Absolutely. Think about it. This wasn't just, hey, I love football. Trump and the NFL, they've had a pretty public, pretty tense relationship, especially during his presidency, with players kneeling during the anthem.
Oh, for sure. Those protests, they brought up all these questions about free speech, about patriotism. So to see him standing there after years of criticizing players who knelt, it felt very deliberate, like sending a message.
Exactly. It was about controlling the narrative, reclaiming this image of patriotism.
Right.
Trump loves symbolism, right?
Yeah.
So this was a powerful image for his base.
And based on the crowd, it seemed to work.
There were reports of both cheers and boos when he arrived at the Superdome with Ivanka about an hour before kickoff. But you look at the pictures, and it seems like there were more cheers than boos.
So he's back in the spotlight, reminding everyone he's still a player. Does this mean events like the Super Bowl can't be neutral anymore? Like, is everything political now?
It's a good question, honestly. It feels like the lines are getting blurrier. Imagine you're sitting down to watch a game, you want to relax, escape a bit, and suddenly, bam, you're confronted with these political figures and all the baggage they carry. You're forced to engage with politics, even if you'd rather just enjoy the game.
Yeah, it puts the NFL in a tough spot, too. They're trying to keep everyone happy.
Totally. And that leads us to another person who found herself in the Super Bowl spotlight. Taylor Swift. Her experience this year was completely different from last year, when everyone was celebrating her flying in from Tokyo to watch her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, win.
Yeah, Philly fans weren't exactly welcoming this time.
The reports described a lot of booing directed at Swift, which is a big change from the usual adoration she gets.
And Trump, well, he couldn't resist commenting, could he? Didn't he post something on Truth Social, his social media platform, about her getting booed out of the stadium?
He did. He mentioned how Maggie is very unforgiving, implying a connection between the booing and Swift's political views. It's a reminder that the Maggie movement is still strong, even without Trump in office.
It also makes you wonder if her endorsements, like the one for Kamala Harris back in 2024, played a role in how people reacted.
Possibly. It shows how someone's political affiliations can affect even the biggest celebrities in this crazy, polarized world. No one's safe from scrutiny.
It's like everything's a test of your political beliefs. Speaking of challenging the status quo, let's talk about Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance. He's known for his lyrics, his social commentary. I was curious to see what he'd do with this platform.
He definitely made a statement. Fresh off that Grammy win, he came out with so much energy. And then, boom, surprise cameo, Serena Williams dancing alongside him and SCA.
Wow, talk about a power trio. What did they perform?
They did All the Stars and Luther, but everyone was talking about Not Like Us. It's a controversial song, actually, in the middle of a defamation lawsuit with Drake.
I remember that lawsuit. He actually censored himself during the performance, right? Left out some lyrics.
He did. The most controversial word was gone. Probably smart, considering the legal situation. But even with that, the energy was insane. The crowd loved it. Everyone was singing along.
Interesting how he uses this platform to say something, even with a lawsuit hanging over his head. Yeah. Seems like he was set on addressing these tough issues.
Definitely. Shows how committed he is to using his art to start conversations. He didn't shy away from the controversy, he embraced it. And by doing that, he turned the Super Bowl, which is all about entertainment, into a space for social commentary.
Makes you think, even with all the spectacle, the Super Bowl can still be a place for powerful messages.
It can. And what's interesting is how those messages can come from anyone. You've got a former president trying to control the narrative, a pop star dealing with political fallout, and a musician using his art to challenge the system. The Super Bowl, it's more than just a game. It's a reflection of our world.
So much happening outside of the actual game. It makes you wonder, what's the Super Bowl become? What does it tell us about, us as a culture?
It's true. I mean, that's what's interesting here. The Super Bowl, it's this huge cultural event everyone's watching. It's not just football anymore.
No, it's like we expect these big events to show us our anxieties, our politics, everything.
And with that comes like a real challenge for the NFL. They're trying to entertain everybody, right? Appeal to everyone, but also they have to deal with these really sensitive social and political issues.
Like that whole thing with the end zones. They replaced end racism with choose love this year. I get it. They're trying to avoid more fights, especially after all that back and forth with Trump. But does playing it safe, weaken the message?
That's a good point. Choose love it's definitely more vague than end racism. The NFL's in a tough spot. They want to seem progressive, in touch with social issues, but they also don't want to alienate a bunch of fans who might not agree with those messages.
Wait, they can't win, right? They take a stand, they risk losing viewers, they stay quiet, they get accused of not caring.
Exactly. And this isn't just an NFL problem, it's happening everywhere. All kinds of events, institutions. How do you balance entertainment with taking a stand in this world where everyone's so divided?
Yeah, it's bigger than the game now.
Yeah.
We want these events to be more meaningful, to show our values.
And the Super Bowl, with all those viewers, all that influence, it's a perfect example. It's like a mirror. It shows us who we are, good and bad.
And that mirror, it can be pretty revealing. Like with Taylor Swift, you have this huge pop star, but even she's caught up in these political divides.
Reminds us that these divisions are everywhere. Even something as simple as going to a game can become this political battleground.
And then you got Trump, never missing a chance to, stir the pot. That comment about Swift getting booed because MAG is unforgiving, it just adds to the chaos.
It shows he's still a powerful figure, even without being president. He knows how to tap into those feelings, and he uses them to stay relevant.
Like he was using the Super Bowl to say, I'm not gone yet. My people are still listening.
Exactly. And that's a powerful message, especially with another election coming up. He's reminding everyone that he's still a force to be reckoned with. His movement is still alive.
So even when the NFL tries to avoid politics, the reality of the country just keeps coming back.
It's unavoidable at this point. Politics is part of everything in America now. And the Super Bowl, it just reflects that.
With all this talk about Trump, Swift, the NFL's messages, we haven't even talked about the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar, he really stole the show.
He did. It was more than a performance. It was a statement. That decision to perform not like us, even with the censorship, that was bold.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to tackle these tough, controversial issues on this huge stage.
And the crowd, they went wild, singing along even to the parts he cut out. It felt like a moment of unity, with all the division we've been talking about.
That's the power of music. It goes beyond differences. For that one moment, it felt like everyone was connected. It was a reminder that even in this divided world, we can still come together.
Shows how artists can use their platform to start important conversations. Lamar could have just played his hits, but he chose to push the boundaries, challenge the status quo.
He's not just entertaining, he's an artist, using his voice to raise awareness about important stuff. And he did it at the Super Bowl, with millions watching. That's huge. These conversations are reaching more people, which is how things change.
Like he took this huge commercial event and made it socially conscious.
Exactly. It challenges the idea that these big events are just about money, entertainment. They can be platforms for real dialogue, for change.
It's like he turned the Super Bowl into a giant TED Talk disguised as a concert.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
He mixed entertainment and social commentary so well. He wasn't preaching, he was inviting people to think, to feel, to connect.
This one event, this Super Bowl, it really shows us where we are as a society.
Like a cultural thermometer or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It shows everything so clearly. Our political divides, anxieties, hopes, even the Carter family's outfits, minus Beyonce, obviously, sparked a whole debate.
Oh, yeah. And then there's Jean-Baptiste putting his own jazzy spin on the anthem. Almost like he was saying, hey, here's this tradition, but let's mix it up a bit.
And Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, introducing Kendrick Lamar. Like a nod to Americana, but also kind of ironic given how subversive Lamar's performance was.
It's all connected, right? And it brings us back to this question we keep coming back to. How do we handle these blurred lines between entertainment and something more? Can we just enjoy the show, or do we need to think about the messages, even the ones they don't say out loud?
I think being aware is the first step. Realizing that these events, the Super Bowl and all, they're not just about entertainment anymore. They're platforms for politics, for social commentary, for brands. It's all mixed together.
So we need to be more conscious. Pay attention to who's making money, whose voices are being heard and whose stories are being ignored.
Exactly. Ask those critical questions. Why was Trump there? What was the NFL trying to do with Choose Love? Why all the negativity towards Taylor Swift? The answers, they tell us a lot about where our culture is at.
We got to be Super Bowl detectives, looking for clues, figuring out the bigger picture.
That's a good way to put it, because it is about connecting the dots, seeing how these things that seem separate are actually part of these bigger trends, these power dynamics.
And once you see those connections, then you can make choices. Do you participate, criticize? Do you just tune it all out? It's up to each of us.
Right. There's no one right answer. What matters is we're thinking about it, engaging with it, not just passively watching whatever's in front of us.
It feels like we're at this point where entertainment and social issues, they're inseparable. And mega events like the Super Bowl, they're right at the heart of it.
They're becoming these battlegrounds for our values, our anxieties, our politics. And the question is, will this lead to better conversations, real progress? Or will it just drive us further apart?
That's a big one to think about. But one thing's for sure, the Super Bowl, it's not just a game anymore. It's a reflection of us, a stage for our worries and our hopes, and maybe even a chance for change.
And that's what makes this whole exploration so interesting. It's not just about understanding one event, it's about understanding ourselves.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody. We'll be back soon to tackle something new, some other trend, another layer of this crazy world we live in. Until then, keep thinking critically.